This is genuinely insane. And following what has been a crazy offseason surrounding Rob Pelinka and the Los Angeles Lakers, a shocking new update has dropped surrounding Luka Doncic that has the NBA horrified. We're going to break down exactly what it is and discuss how not only did no one see this coming, but this is way crazier than even the most optimistic fan could have thought of. But before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. About 70% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Folks, a lot to go over today. And obviously, Luka Doncic has been the big name of the offseason outside of transactions and trades and things like that. And there's been a new update that has dropped this morning, just a little bit ago, surrounding Luka Doncic's body transformation. And obviously one of the biggest things when he got traded away from the Mavericks was Rob Pelinka and, or not Rob Pelinka, Nico Harrison, and the fact that Nico Harrison called out Luka Doncic for being out of shape. Things have changed for the better here and the Lakers in general. You can see this here from Mark Stein. It dropped today in the Men's Health magazine as he begins a week of Jordan Brand appearances. Luka Doncic is featured in the Men's Health magazine, talking extensively about his offseason training and his body transformation this summer. If I stop now, Doncic told the magazine, it was all for nothing. And you can see there, we have a bunch of pictures of his transformation, but let's start with the one on the cover. Obviously, he looks in the best shape of his life, and we have some specifics to dive into that reveal that he's in better shape than even his rookie year when his vertical was 42 inches. But we have some interesting things to go over. And first of all, this is obviously way crazier than I could have thought. I covered videos here on the channel a few times about Doncic getting in better shape and how he needs to get in better shape to improve his defense, all these different things. He took it very seriously. The comments from Nico Harrison and have completely changed his routine. And let's dive into some of the specifics here. As you can see here, Masek took charge of the workouts. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If not, let me know down below. Except Sundays. Doncic hit 2 per day with plenty of lifting, mobility, and court drills, but fueling the 6'7" point guard as he underwent this Rocky-style transformation may have been an even tougher job, a chemistry experiment where all the elements not only had to fulfill a specific function, but also taste great and make sense to Luka as he learned the ropes of performance nutrition. He's 26, and it's a learning process. And the more I go through these quotes, you'll start to realize that this is a very interesting both diet, workout. Like, he has taken this as seriously as I could have, no one could have ever saw it being this serious. You can see this here. What the Luka haters have never seen is this. Doncic, like I just mentioned, has been slogging through 2-a-day workouts in Croatia, a gluten-free, low-sugar diet, 250 grams of protein a day, all these different things to get in the best shape possible, and they never realized how much he committed to training and diet this summer. Because most people thought, and there has been a lot of transformations across the NBA, but for a player like Luka Doncic, who it still was a top 3 player in the NBA, even when he wasn't in as good shape as he is right now, it has just completely shifted the way that, I look at this team, the way that other people look at the Luka Doncic trade in general, specifically regarding, the Nico Harrison comments, and obviously, the Mavericks got bailed out a little bit. They got Cooper flagged, but you can see there at the bottom, even if you thought Luka Doncic already had a dad bod, he was already a top 5 NBA player, and after pushing hard this offseason, you can't help but wonder how high he'll level up. And he said, if I stop now, it was all for nothing. And this is pretty big for a few different reasons. Obviously, we know conditioning. We was dealing with health issues last year as it pertains to, whether you can attribute it directly to him being out of shape, or at least in worse shape than before, that's up to you guys. But at the end of the day, him being in better shape will allow him to be healthier throughout an 82-game season and perhaps even be much better defensively, which is something this team needs in order for them to reach their ceiling, which is, of course, an NBA championship. And for him to be in the best shape of his life is super encouraging. And to be honest, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that he took it this far. And I knew he had it in him. He was in really good shape back in his rookie year, obviously put on some weight, but also put on a lot of strength. And now it seems he's combining the strength that he's had the past few years with the athleticism that he's had from his rookie season and until 2020, 2021 to do this. And you can see here as well, Luka knows that you're thinking he looks lean as heck now. That's because he's thinking the exact same thing. Lost in the narratives about his weight and conditioning is the fact that as a 19-year-old, the 2018 NBA Scouting Combine, Luka delivered a 42-inch vertical leap. This year, we didn't measure the jumping yet, but I think it's a little bit higher. So all those people comparing him, and there's been a lot of tweets this offseason about footage of Luka when he was younger in his rookie year and how agile he was, how he could get up and dunk with ease, and now how he was a bit slower last year and the years before with the Mavericks. It seems now that his vertical leap is higher than it was at the Combine in his rookie year when everybody was praising him for his, conditioning and things like that, which, again, is all part of the diet and his body transformation, the workouts and everything he's done. And he's clearly been fueled. I think it's not only, by Nico Harrison calling him out for, not being in the best shape, but I think it's just the fact that he knows in order to have a long career, and his extension's coming up. I expect that to be signed in the next week or so while he's in, the United States and with the Mavericks. Or with the Lakers, sorry, not with the Mavericks. But I think at the end of the day, I think he's doing it for himself, to be in better shape, to actually be healthier throughout a full season, and then obviously be prepared to win an NBA championship this upcoming year. And I think you talk about external additions. They got Marcus Smart. They got, DeAndre Ayton, Jackson Hayes re-signed, and they're going to be involved in a lot of talks, Nikola Vucevic, all these different guys, Herb Jones. The number one, even like arguably better than any of the additions they've made, they've made this time, is Luka Doncic being in the best shape of his life and being, better than ever. And I don't necessarily think that he's going to be an insane defender or an elite defender now, but I do think he's going to be a very, very good, guard going forward, and an adequate defender, which is something that we never saw in previous years with Luka Doncic. You can see here visually, I would say my whole body looks better. And that was his quote directly, his quote from Luka Doncic directly. And obviously, he's going to say that, but he's hard on himself in general. And you can see here, he's never quite looked the Greek god part. And the fact that he still averaged 30 points a game, 28 points a game last year for being what everyone was calling him, out of shape, fat, whatever that you wanted to, find. There was a lot of negative comments towards him. And now for him to be in the best shape of his life, it's absolutely absurd. And of course, it all came from the diet and, like I mentioned before, just the motivation to do so. And it's really crazy. And it has some people, some Mavs fans already speaking out about it. Dirk Nowitzki said it took him 8 years before he cared about his conditioning. Luka accomplished more in the first 6 years in Dallas than Dirk did in his first 6. And Luka started working on his conditioning sooner. So would you have given up on Dirk too? So some Mavericks fans are still salty, clearly, about the Doncic trade, even though they ultimately got, AD and, in theory, Cooper Flag from it because they tanked that season and didn't win, many games. It goes to show, though, motivation is a crazy thing, and Nico Harrison came directly for Luka Doncic following the trade, and clearly Luka wasn't happy with it. We know back at the trade deadline press conference, once he got traded to the Lakers, that he said that he didn't necessarily appreciate, but also wasn't true about his lack of work ethic, his lack of conditioning, all these different things. Clearly, he wanted to shut them up, and he did just that. And the pictures, now you can see this one. There's a couple in the thumbnail as well. Like, he looks like a completely different player, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happened. And a few other details here, you can feel free to pause and read, basically talking about his fitness level, his going through a full body test, and going through everything that it would take to get the data to get to the point where he needs with his body. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. Obviously, it definitely affects the way the team is looked at. Like, if he can be an adequate defender now just by being in solid shape, of course he has to work on his instincts, all these different things, but physically, if he can be healthy for a full 82 game season, obviously not play 82, but be healthy for the 82, and then go ahead and be better defensively, this team has a much better shot than they did before the season at making a deep finals run NBA championship next year. But that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.